Okay, I don't really know what I'm gonna say. Um, I want to share my thoughts, and I don't know. I mean, like I make TikTok videos, and I share my thoughts and my worldview. Maybe I should move my mic a little bit closer. I share my worldview, and I talk about the state of the world and the way that we're heading and the way that we are now and what we can be a lot. But I don't know, I feel like there's more that I can do, more that I can get out there, more people that I can get in contact with, more people that I can share my thoughts with, and maybe hopefully help. Um, I've experienced a lot, like a lot. Um, I've learned a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things. I've heard a lot of things and I've thought a lot of things. I'm being very vague. Again, I don't know what I don't know what I'm gonna say. I'm just kind of turning this shit on and talking. Um, and I hope that somebody will listen because I really do hope that I can help someone, help others, be a force that changes thoughts, minds, and situations for people to make things better. Um, if you hear my dog or my washing machine or any of that in the back, my dog's a brat. She's gonna growl if she thinks somebody's outside. Um, we're working on that, but and then I'm doing laundry. I'm sure you can hear it rumbling in the background right now. Um. Anyways, I should probably if I'm not gonna say if I'm gonna say when, and that I am because I genuinely wanna I genuinely want to give this a try. Um, but I should probably write scripts so that I at least maybe not scripts because I don't like scripting. I don't like. I mean, I like scripting. Hashtag manifestation. But no, I don't. I like being me. I like getting my thoughts out. I don't like either being perceived as fake from others or from myself. Um, Mainly myself. I don't like thinking that I'm not being authentic to myself. Um, so maybe just like write down what I want to talk about and like some kind of structure, you know. Um, but I suppose I can kind of start with what popped in my head when I said um what I said earlier, which was ah I'm gonna have to learn editing too. Shit. I'm gonna have to edit. Uh you know, so many things I can learn to expand my skill set. But what I said earlier was I like being authentic to myself, and perceiving myself as being my true self. Um, and when I said that, it made me think about imposter syndrome and how I've dealt with that in my life. I've kind of always had it, all throughout growing up due to a lot of things that I went through as a child. Um, the environment that I grew up in. I needed to drink some water because I could hear the dryness of my mouth, and I didn't like that. But um, I, as an adult, as a 27-year-old, um, I've done a lot to heal from that, to heal from everything that I've been through, and that I will be through in the future. I know that life is a healing journey. Um, due to the world that we live in, due to the systems that oppress us. Um, everybody has to go through healing in order to be happy. And in order for everybody to be happy, everybody has to heal from what they have experienced and are experiencing. Um, but I yap all that to yap that I, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be me, just me. Um, I didn't want to be what anybody else wanted me to be, what my mom wanted me to be, what my sister, brother, auntie, uncle, cousin, grandma wanted me to be. Um, and I think that has helped me a lot with who I am today, which is confident in who I am, um, comfortable in who I am, and self assured, knowing that I am going to accomplish what I want to accomplish, which is a lot. There's a lot that I want to accomplish. Um, and part of that is all of it is making the world a better place. Um, I came to that realization when I was young, when I was, damn, I had to be like seven, 9 when I came to that realization. When I gained consciousness, really, uh, solid consciousness, like I was able to, you know, it was. I have memories from before, like I snapped into reality. Um, but most of those are just due to like hashtag trauma. Um, I find saying hashtag trauma funny or hashtag anything funny because like it's a very millennial joke, and part of the humor is that like I took that joke serious as a kid. Like I thought it was like a funny joke when it was a thing that millennials would say. Um, but I always found like it like not like the joke itself funny, but like the idea of the joke funny. Like it's just like, why are we saying hashtag out loud? Like it's goofy. Humans are goofy. I enjoy humans. I enjoy existence. I enjoy the world that we live in. It's a beautiful world. Um, it's so fucking beautiful, but it's also so fucking painful. So fucked up. Uh, and I came to that realization all at once as a kid, and it fucked me up. Like I, it, fuck it. Let's get raw. Let's let's be raw right now. Um, fuck. I want this whatever this is. This I don't want to say podcast because podcasts are typically, but this thing that I'm doing, whatever it is, I'm sure I'll define it at some point, if it even really needs definition. It's really just me talking. Um, and everything I said in the beginning. So I guess it really has been defined. But let's get raw. Um, I would have panic attacks as a kid, as a 7, 8, 9 year old, 12, 13, 14, like a lot throughout a lot of my childhood, um, in general, but also heavily due to the idea of life and the way that the world is, um, like full blown existential crisis of like crying myself to sleep and screaming into my pillow because I couldn't understand how the world was so evil, how people could be homophobic and racist was like my first, like, what the fuck, like how can you want somebody to die because they like boys and they're a boy, or they like girls and they're a girl? How could you want somebody to die because they have a different skin color than you? How could you want somebody to die because they speak a different language than you? It didn't make sense to me. It still doesn't. Like I conceptually I can conceptualize how people get where they are, but I can't understand how people can stay there with those mindsets once when they come to the realization of what they're thinking, how they can't how they can't question what they think. And like in theory, like by the book, by what I've learned, I understand why. I understand trauma. I understand brainwashing. I understand conditioning and grooming. I understand. I understand these things. I had to learn these things because I wanted to understand why the world is the way that it is. But even now, like I can't. What makes you stay there? Because I myself, I've had, this is really just a stream of consciousness, I suppose. I guess when I really get into it, I'll get into things. Um, but because I'm gonna make more than one of these, I'm gonna continue doing this again. But shit, I forgot what I was saying. I'm thinking about so much. I'm trying to get so much into one stream of consciousness, into one, like, just get it out in one stream. I just watched a movie about Temple Grandin, and it inspired me because I'm autistic and I want to do more. I've always wanted to do more, but I really I've struggled a lot with knowing where to start and how to continue after starting. I've started multiple times. Um, I've started multiple times. I've continuously done what I've done of bettering myself, healing from my shit, and trying to help other people. Um, Mainly focusing on myself because I've realized you can't put everything into other people and not put anything into yourself, because then you'll have nothing left to give, um, to either parties. But I watched that movie and it, I guess, just inspired me to start doing something that I've been saying I would do for a long time, which is getting my ideas out there, getting my, I don't want to say, I mean, I guess getting my ideas out there. I don't like the way that sounds because it's like, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I know that I can't do that. They have to do that. And for a long time I didn't. I always like, "Oh, I'm going to change people's minds. I have to." And it's like I know naturally with what I want to do, which is build community and change the world, which is dismantle the machine and the systems that support it. Um, I want to be clear. This isn't me trying to like garner any collective thoughts of doing anything crazy. Um, this is just me. But okay, so I also do want to be clear. I suppose I am somebody who is for the revolution. I am for rebellion. I am for building community and facing our oppressors, and like you're not going to be able to dismantle the machine peacefully. I'm not somebody who believes in peaceful change, and I'm not somebody who doesn't believe in obviously building community and coming together as one. Uh, I actually believe in like humans are all one, and that in global change, I believe in global community. I believe in global efforts. Um, but what I'm saying is that this isn't like some manifesto or some. This isn't. It is what it is, which is just me sharing and talking and whatever it is to other people. I hope that it is something positive, something that lets people know that they are not alone and that they are not stuck in what they're told they're stuck in. That change can happen. Change is happening. Change is always happening. And that you can be a part of that change as soon as you decide to. That you are a part of that change as soon as you decide to. As soon as you decide everything is possible. Um, and I want to just help people. That being said, back to what I was saying, which I don't fully remember, so let me recollect. let me recollect my thoughts. Um, I was just given some lore about how I how, I grew up in a really shitty family, really shitty environment, and I saw other people outside of that being shitty. I was on the internet a lot. Um, I saw niggas in comments being bigoted, homophobic, racist, sexist, misogynistic, um, and the world is a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. The world is a lot. It's a lot for everybody. And I made the decision that I was going to change the world then, that I was going to help people then, that I was going to do something to make the world a better place. I went through a lot to come to where I am now, which is I know that that happens every day. You can always make the world a better place every day, even in the small things. And that also that's not enough for me. That I've always I've always known that I would be somebody who made the world a better place in a much bigger way. And as I've gone through my life up until now, I've learned about the different people that have affected the world and affected others, who have changed minds, who have helped minds, who have nurtured minds and people. Fred Hampton is one that I like particularly at this time in my life, who I think was a brilliant mind and still is. He may not be alive right now, but he lives on through all of us who I don't want to say emulate, but who believe in the same shit that he believes in, which is the people, which is humans, which is us, all of us. And going through everything that I've gone through, of going from a kid who had panic attacks, sleepless nights, insomnia due to the trauma that he was currently experiencing in his life, and the trauma that others were experiencing, seeing that and being a highly empathetic child, um, with a strong sense of moral justice, strong sense of justice in general, I suppose I should say, but I say moral specifically because uh, I don't believe in the full scale of legal justice, because it's inherently corrupt due to the systems that it was built under and on and around and all that shit. um, but this has been 23 minutes of me yapping. Damn. Um, I'm also doing this because I have trouble speaking my thoughts plainly and bluntly at times. Um, because part of my healing has been healing from caring about the perception of others. Uh, I don't know if I have any other healed people pleasers out there. Um, I almost said pleaser healers. Maybe there's something there. Maybe that wasn't a slip of the tongue. Time will tell. Anyways, I don't know if I have any other people pleasers out there who have recovered people pleasers, because we're not doing that now. We may have been in the past, but we aren't now. And what matters most is the now. You can only control the now. Not entirely, because there's always going to be things outside of your control. You can only control yourself in the now. You can only determine who you are, not who you were, because that's already been done. And you can't determine who you will be because that's out of your hands. You don't know the future. You can't control the future. You can't see the future. You can, well, I mean, some can. So some people can see the future. Some people can recognize patterns. I am one of those people who can recognize patterns and determine what's going to happen, but you don't know for sure. You can't control the variable other things that you can't control. You can only control yourself. That's something I've had to learn because wanted I wanted to change the world so much that I was like, have to control these things. Da 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 da, like, and then trauma and all that shit. I had to learn that I can't control things that are outside of my control, that all I can do is control myself. All I can determine is who I am and whoever I become is a result of who I am now. And I want to be a good person. I want to be a good person who changes the world. That was what I determined when I was 7, and that is what I will know for all of my life. That is who I will be for all of my life, is a person who wants to be a good person and helps the world. And I've done a lot to come to be the person who I am now, which is somebody who I'm realizing I am being repetitive because I'm trying to. I'm autistic. Hello. I suppose there really will be a time where I do edit this. This one's not going to be edited because this is just me getting comfortable with talking and sharing. I realize I'm being repetitive, but hopefully y'all are able to parse. Whoever watches this, whoever listens to this, is able to parse through the things that I'm saying to get to the core of what I'm saying, which is what I've already said. What I've already said of you can be the change that they turned on the generator outside, so it's gonna be rumbling outside. But if I turn my gain down, that should help. You won't hear it constantly going in the back. Anyways, I I'm trying to come to one point that I wanna talk about. I wanna say something of substance. I don't wanna keep repeating myself. Um, my dog is nervous though from them turning the generator or whatever the fuck that is on. It's something. I don't know what it is. They turn it on often, but it scares her because it's like a loud vacuum, a huge vacuum. So I was petting her and trying to let her know it's fine. But as I said, I was inspired by the movie that I watched, which is it inspired me to just fucking do it. Just all the time I say I'm gonna do things, but I talk myself out of it. I say that I can't do it, or that I'll do it tomorrow, or I need this to be in place to do it first. But really, I just need to fucking do it. I just need to do it. Do it. Do it. Yeah. Do it. Hold on. You're okay. Um, but yeah, so I suppose what I should talk about is let's just keep going with how I was. Keep it going. Um, about from the beginning. Uh, another reason why I struggle with talking about myself is I've noticed throughout my life there have been a lot of people who don't give a fuck, um, and that's fine. Not everybody's gonna give a fuck, um, but it makes me nervous and scared to talk about myself because it feels pointless. But this isn't. I know it's not because I know that there's gonna be a lot of people who relate and that it may help somebody. There's one person out there that I'm sure this will help. Um, so starting from the beginning, passing what I already said, which was me talking about how um, I gained consciousness around 7 or 8, um, and that is when I was like, this world is shit, and I've got to do something about it. There's something I have to be able to do in order to change the world. Um, I was trying to pick up if you. I was trying to see if you guys could still hear the thing outside. You probably can hear it when I talk, but I I'll give you guys a crash course of my lore. Um, grew up in a household, firstborn, teenager mom, uh, abusive teenager mom. It wasn't bad from her part when I was a kid, from what I can remember. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. Because I can remember. Um, she was abusive even when I was super fucking small. Um, she's always been verbally and emotionally manipulative and abusive. Um, but father was physically abusive. Wasn't in my life much. You know, the generic story of a child who grew up in an impoverished house, um, impoverished black house, because that's the way the system is set up. The system is set up to make impoverished children experience trauma so that they're more easily able to be manipulated and abused and forced into the prison pipeline, uh, school to prison pipeline. And if they survive not being picked to go through the school to prison pipeline, then they go straight into the workforce. They become labor cattle. Um, it's just the way that it's set up. So, basic that. Um, I am queer, um, and grew up in a Christian household. So, experienced not necessarily practicing Christians, but Christians who believe in Jesus Christ. Um, so they don't agree with being gay. They're like, I don't agree with a gay lifestyle, but I would never say you're a horrible person. You're a bad person. Um, but my mom said Degrassi turned me gay. It was that damn Degrassi, just like my mama said. I had a crush on Elliot, whatever the fuck that nigga's name is, the one who drove the hearse, and it was all those gay kids. You know, it wasn't the fucking, it wasn't the drugs, it wasn't the parties, it wasn't the kid getting shot, it wasn't Drake getting shot in the back. Audrey, fuck Drake. It wasn't Audrey getting shot. It wasn't, all those other horrible things that happened in the show, which showed reality. It's a good show. Degrassi was a good show, up until about certain seasons. Next Generations is what I'm talking about, obviously. Uh, but all those other things wasn't bad. Uh, Kids hunching and getting pregnant at the age of 14. That shit wasn't bad influence. But it was that gay shit that was bad. um, she verbatim said that shit to me. And she would tell my little brother that two boys kissing is nasty and that it's bad. And I would have to unteach that shit from him. And so far, from how he is now, he seems at least not homophobic from what I can see. Transphobic from what I can see. Um, he seems pretty accepting, which I definitely, I know I was an influence on that because, hello, I'm his queer sibling. And I, would take every chance that I could to tell him that it's okay for two boys to kiss. And I myself believe that he is queer. Um, at least from what I saw when he was younger. Uh, it may not be the case, but he possibly is. Which is fine, because, hey, if you ever need a safe space, I'm here for you. Um, it's part of the reason why I do what I do, because I want to make sure that I have a stable, safe place for him to come to if he ever needs somewhere to go. And that goes for all my siblings, even my sister, who, when I came out to her, she was very, very mean about it. Saying, first you were this, then you were that. Can you make up your mind? It's like, maybe I'm learning. Maybe I'm learning, evolving, changing as humans do. Um, but not only that, my mom was a how. My mother was a hoarder. Um, she was a hoarder. She is a narcissist. Um, one of the abuse stories that I can share from an early age before I gained consciousness. This is when I had to be. We were living at one of the houses, one of my childhood homes. I believe. No, was it? Yeah, 'cause we weren't living in one of my childhood homes, but we were still living in that general neighborhood. Um, I believe this was around the time when like we were couch hopping. Uh, but she she told me that this also plays into the Christianity. She told me that birds. So I was bad at school. I was a bad kid. Hashtag I had trauma. Hashtag trauma. So when kids are traumatized, they act out. They want attention. They whether it be from them wanting attention, or it be from them not having emotional regulation, which children don't have emotional regulation, that's something that needs to be taught to them. Um, that's part of our job as adults and parents to teach children emotional regulation, which is why we have so many emotionally unregulated people, adults now. But I was a bad kid. I got kicked out of a lot of schools growing up, which I'm sure was hard on her. I want to preface what I'm saying with, I do understand why she is the way she is. I understand why she treated me the way she treated me. I understand how and why she did what she did. She has her own trauma. She experienced an abusive household. Um, she Both of her parents were physically and emotionally and mentally abusive. Her siblings were physically and emotionally abusive. She told me a story where her siblings chased her around with a cup full of shit and tried to force her to eat it. Pinned her on the ground and tried to force her to eat it. She would be called Piggy and shit like that. Like, her siblings were abusive. Her family was abusive. I grew up in an abusive family. This is generational shit. This is generational trauma. Um, so I understand why she was abusive, but I don't, I don't yet forgive her. I would like to, but my conditions for forgiving somebody is that we talk about it, we communicate, and you show remorse. You show that you understand that it was wrong and how it affected me, just as I would give to anyone that I've hurt. I'm not going to apologize for something that I don't believe I should apologize for. And if I hurt somebody, I should apologize for that. And I want to understand how I hurt that person. It doesn't have to come from them. They don't have to air out their grievances and tell me you hurt me this way and this is, they don't have to justify their pain to me if I hurt somebody. But I still want to understand why, not why, but how I hurt them, because I don't want to repeat that mistake. I don't want to hurt somebody again the way that I hurt them. I don't want to hurt anybody at all, period. So if I hurt you, I want to understand how I hurt you. Again, you don't have to tell me, you don't have to air out your grievances, you don't have to lay it out. You don't have to put in that emotional labor of telling me how I hurt you. I would like to have a conversation where, you tell me, but you don't have to. Like obviously you don't have to, but also, and like, you don't need my permission to tell you that you don't have to, but I understand that, you know, you don't have to. And with understanding that, I will do what it takes on my part to understand and know, whether that be learning the things that I already know of how trauma works and how abuse works, um, but then also learning new information, assessing myself of what I did that was wrong, taking accountability, essentially, is what I'm saying. You have to take accountability in order for me to forgive you. You have to show remorse. You have to you have to take accountability. You have to, yeah, just that, just take accountability. And she's yet to do so. Um, so I don't forgive her. I would like to. I really would. At this point in my life, there was a point when I didn't want to. There was a point. I know I was telling a story about. I'll get back to it. I'm a yapper. Hello, I'm autistic. I'm a yapper. um, I'm also an over-explainer due to being a past people pleaser. Um, I've assessed myself a lot. I understand who I am because, again, I've always had to know assured who I was. And there was a while when I wasn't sure who I was. I didn't know. And also, I don't want to pass on my trauma. And I watched a TikTok not too long ago, which fuck that app, but I watched a TikTok not too long ago where they were talking about how uh, breaking generational curses and trauma is more than just knowing how it happened. It's putting in the effort to stop it. And that's what my entire life has been. Um, my entire fucking life has been me doing everything that I can to make sure that I don't repeat my ancestors' mistakes nor my own. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this, is because I want to stop the cycle of me saying that I'm going to do something and then not doing it. So, my mother experienced a lot of trauma. I understand why she was the way she was. I understand that having a child at the age of 14 is fucking crazy. It's so traumatic. I couldn't imagine being someone who had a child at 14. God, I probably would have not. I probably would have been the same as my mother. I probably would have hurt my child so fucking much. So I get it. Whew, fuck. I understand. I feel her. I understand what she must have been going through. Because not only did she have a child at 14, my father was a piece of shit. Apparently he's not anymore. Apparently he's changed, which kudos to him. Kudos to him. But whatever. You know, like it doesn't matter. But he was a piece of shit. He physically abused her. He would hurt the fuck out of her. And me. And he was a kid too. And he has his own trauma. But she had an abusive family. She's got a lot that she's gone through. And I was also a bad kid. I got kicked out of schools a lot. I would sometimes bully my siblings, especially when I was younger. I would bully my sister. I was an angry kid. I was really angry. And that can't be easy to deal with as a parent. It's not easy to deal with as a parent, especially if you don't have the tools to deal with it. The skill set, if your parents weren't able to teach you how to be emotionally regulated, how are you going to be emotionally regulated in order to teach your child how to be emotionally regulated? This shit's generational. It is for a lot of people. It is for most people. I believe everybody experiences generational trauma. Every single person in this world, due to the systems that we live under. And I'm sure even if we didn't live under these systems, there still would be generational trauma. Because people are complex and people feel pain and sometimes want to deflect that pain onto other people instead of feeling it themselves. I say that to say that one of the experiences of abuse that I experienced as a kid, before I was conscious, before my everyday life was something that I can recollect, she told me that if I was going to keep being bad because I got kicked out of school or suspended, that if I was going to keep being bad, that when the rapture came, that birds were going to peck my eyes out over and over again. 1,000 million birds were going to peck my eyes out over and over every day. And that demons were going to do all these things. But the birds was the main point, and it was because I asked her what migration was. Um, I saw a lot of birds up in the sky, flying out of trees. I'm autistic, so, and also just kids like to watch things. Kids are curious, but I take special interest in watching the things around me. Uh, Being aware of my surroundings is important to me. Um, Understanding things is important to me, obviously. um, and I remember watching the birds fly out of the trees and going, "Mommy, there's so many birds. Why are there so many birds?" She told me they were migrating. And then I just was watching the birds, and she goes, "Did you know in the Bible, during the rapture," she explains what the rapture is, I believe. Yeah. She says, "Did you know in the Bible, during the rapture?" I ask, "What's the rapture?" She goes, it's the end times when Jesus comes back and everybody goes up to heaven who deserves to go to heaven, and then there are people who don't deserve to go to heaven. Um, they'll live on earth, hell will be on earth, hell will come to earth, and everybody will be tortured over and over again. And one of those things is the birds. There will be birds who will peck out your eyes and feast on your skin. And I remember going, "Mommy, I don't want that to happen to me, and like being terrified. I remember sitting in the front seat of the car because I used to beg to sit in front of in the front seat of the car. I remember sitting in the front seat of the car and like crawling into the seat, like literally, like I don't know how to describe it, but like trying to run away in the seat, like yeah. And she had to tell me to sit down because I was like trying to run away because I was terrified. Um, and I remember being like, "Mommy, I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to go to hell. I don't want birds to peck my eyes out." And her being like, "Well, if you're good, that's not going to happen. But if you're bad, it will. If you keep being bad, that's going to happen. But if you're good, it won't." Now, to some people, that may seem normal. That may seem like she was just trying to teach me to be good and using the Bible to teach me to be good. She was teaching the Word of God to me. That's abuse. That's emotional and mental abuse. Mainly mental. Um, Whatever you believe in shouldn't be used as a tool to inflict fear into people to control them. That's called abuse. That's called brainwashing. That's called a cult. Hold on. Anyways, that happened when I was about 4, 6. That's just one example of the abuse that I experienced. Other abuse includes like just general neglect. I made a TikTok video not too long ago talking about how I struggle with eating more than once a day, not only due to financial reasons, but um, eating 3 times a day just seems like a lot to me. Um, I know that eating a maybe not necessarily eating 3 times a day is natural because it's something that was developed through um, testing on indigenous and orphaned children, um, using caloric deficit to see how much people have to eat in order to be healthy, alert, and to have the right nutrition and grow. Um, that's how that was found out, was through testing on indigenous children. Um, if you don't know about that, you should definitely look into that because it's fucking crazy. Um, but I know that spacing your meals out and getting enough. I know that eating more than once a day is not healthy. Eating all your calories at once is not healthy, which I don't do. At least I try my hardest not to. There may be one day where I go to fucking Crackle Barrel, and all their meals is high as fuck. One meal is fucking, even they skinny-licious meals be fucking 700 calories. So that's a whole nother topic about how that's fucked up. How our food is unhealthy, which isn't always bad. Like eating sweets is fine. Eating high calorie meals is fine. It's just the culture around it and the propaganda around it. The uh, shit that they put in our food. Um, it's just that's a part of the system. It's a part of the machine. Um, uh, but one of the reasons I grow up, I have a hard time, unhealthy relationship with food and eating healthily, and I've had to teach myself healthy habits and educate myself on healthy dieting, which not dieting, because when I say healthy dieting, I don't mean like diet culture. I don't mean uh, eating to be skinny, which I do eat to lose weight, but that's just because I am overweight due to not eating a lot, due to my body being in starvation mode, and due to the food abuse that I experienced growing up, and due to the unhealthy eating habits that I have gone throughout my life. Um, but I don't want to lose weight due to diet culture. I want to lose weight just so I'm healthy. Um, and I still am healing from being able to look at myself when I gain weight and not judge myself. But that's just something that a lot of people have had to heal from and not experience. Well, yes, experience due to the world that we live in, and the systems that perpetuate it. Uh, they turned off the machine, so I'm gonna turn up my gain again, so I can put my mic down away from my face and get more comfortable in my chair. But I say dieting as in like just a diet of like just the food that you intake. Um, but I grew up with a lot of food abuse. Um, I've experienced rationing. I've experienced the fend for yourself mentality of I believe a healthy child should grow up in a structured environment to an extent. Um, there should be uh, free will and autonomy and self exploration through autonomy and uh, like free play of you. I watched a video recently on like not Bluey itself. I've never watched Bluey. Um, I don't necessarily plan to. I do think it's a. I get why people like it. The whole culture, the whole adults of adults in children's spaces is a complex topic because I do understand why adults are in children's spaces like Disney, which fuck Disney, and Bluey and My Little Pony and shit. But it does make it an unsafe space for children because people, adults, aren't always safe around children and in children's spaces. Um, but I do believe in the idea that adults are just big children, that adults should be able to uh, heal and still have their inner child exist, that adults should color, adults should like children's shows, adults should be able to enjoy these things. It's just people are fucked up and they make the space unsafe for children at the same time. So it's a very complex topic, especially as someone who has been an adult who enjoys children's shows. I love The Dragon Prince. I liked My Little Pony when I was in my early 20s. Um, I need more water. Hold on. We wouldn't have modern anime and modern cartoons without adults who enjoyed these things that were intentionally intended for children. Adults, we wouldn't have cartoons if adults didn't like cartoons because adults are the ones creating the cartoons. So it's a very complex topic. One that I'm working through myself of if I stand on either or side or if I stand in the middle. And currently I stand in the middle of I understand both prospects, both ideas of adults should and shouldn't be in the space. I understand both sides and I agree with points on both sides. I lean a bit more towards adults should be able to watch children's shows and um, uh, enjoy these things. I lean a bit more towards that side, um, while still holding ground for the fact that, like I just said, adults ruin things, um, especially for children, where it should be a safe space for children to be children. Um, that being said, I don't even remember how I got on that topic. Um, oh, I got on the topic because I brought up the fact that I was watching a Bluey video, which actually wasn't centered on Bluey. It was centered on the MAGA Bluey ripoff. Um, but and like how that show just has no soul and how it perpetuates the uh, toxic nuclear family dynamic of the father who controls the household and who controls the children and who is a big child, who is a big self-aggrandizing child, who masquerades being a good father uh, under really just being somebody who's stroking his own ego, and a mother who um, is no good other is no use other than being a caretaker, and who shouldn't have their own opinion that is really valued, and the whole social hierarchy of the boys being better than the women in the family, and the whole, you know, white supremacist nuclear family. Um, which, I mean, duh, it's a show made by white supremacists, but how it's a show made for kids, which continues the brainwashing, the whole right wing propaganda, the whole pipeline. Um, but I was watching a video on that. And again, I don't even know, I remember why I was bringing that up. Um, but, oh, emotional regulation. Um, and it had popped in my head because Bluey is a show that uh, shows kids being kids and emotional regulation and teaching children on their level, and stop trying to adultify children and expect them to understand things that, not that they can't understand, but that they don't understand, and that in order for them to understand, you have to teach them, and that they fully can understand. That's the whole point of being a parent, is to teach and nurture and help this person become somebody who they are going to be proud of, not somebody that you're proud of, which you should be. You should be proud of your child. But the goal isn't so that you're proud of them. The goal is so that they're proud of themselves. And it's so hard for people to be proud of themselves. A lot of what is going on now is because people are looking for a way for them to be proud of themselves. But they can't be because, one, there's just so much fucking going on, um, due to the machine. But also, two, because they weren't taught how to be. They weren't raised to be. They were raised to be somebody that they're not. Which comes back to what I was talking about with imposter syndrome. And me being somebody who has always been someone who they have to be proud in of themselves. They have to be self-assured. Ooh, excuse me. Um, I don't know, that was loud as hell. Uh, but um, for a long time, I wasn't proud of myself. For a long time, I wasn't. I've always known who I am. I've always known who I've wanted to be. But I've never really known because I was never allowed to be. I was always supposed to be what my mother wanted me to be, what my grandmother wanted me to be, what my sister, my brother, uncle, cousin, auntie, like I said earlier. um, and I knew who I was, but it was hard for me to actualize that. It was hard for me I did. I did. A lot of trouble that I had growing up was because I knew who I was and because didn't allow people to tell me who I was. I would always fight back. I would always actualize who I was. I always would. And I guess somewhere along that I lost it in a way because I didn't lose it 100%. It just died down. I dimmed my light. And I'm kind of right now coming to terms with that in this moment because it's something that's kind of been in the back of my head, but something that I haven't pulled to the forefront and actually assessed for my own various reasons. But I don't necessarily know when that started because, again, me and my mother would fight all the time, because I wasn't who she wanted me to be. We were best friends when I was a kid, because I wasn't old enough to realize the abuse that I was going through. And I also hadn't fully formed my own personality, per se. Um, she liked anime, I liked anime. Um, she liked video games, I liked video games. She liked rock music, I liked rock music. She liked the various things that she liked, and I liked those things, which I still do. I will always be my mother's child. But I will always be me as well. And she didn't like that I was becoming someone that wasn't her mini me. And there was a joke when I was a kid about how I was her twin and I was her little mini me. I used to love Austin Powers as a kid. And it was an accurate description. I was her little mini me. Um, but as I got older, I started expanding. I went through my various phases, my emo phase, my skater phase, my grunge phase, my hipster phase, my rebellious phase, which all of those were never really phases. They are who I am, even to this day. Uh, they're not a core part of my personality. They weren't they aren't my whole personality like they were at one point. But they are still a part of me. And I think it was for her was a mix of jealousy and anger that not only could she not experience what I was experiencing of going through my various phases of finding myself, of being myself, because she had a child at such a young age, um, multiple kids at a young age, um, but it was also anger that she couldn't control me anymore. Because again, she is a narcissist. um, or at least has narcissistic tendencies. I believe that she's a full blown narcissist. Um, but it may just be narcissistic tendencies. She may not be aware of everything that she's doing. It may not be a conscious effort on her part. It may just be the generational trauma and her just expressing that through narcissistic tendencies. Um, And I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a mental professional, so I can't diagnose her. But I can have my own theories and my own concepts and my own opinion. Um, Ooh, that's some cold water. It's so good and tasty. Mm. uh, Ooh, that's some good water. Ah. That just reminded me. Her and I were close when I was young. Like I said, I was her mini me, and we grew apart. Um, as I got older because I wasn't her mini me, and I also became conscious and was able to assess and understand the abuse that I was going through. Wasn't necessarily able to articulate it as I can now because I didn't have the knowledge to, but I had the wisdom um, to understand the maybe not the wisdom because wisdom also just comes with time, but also wisdom is also innate. Um, I don't know. I don't know necessarily how to put it, how to elegant how. Anyways, uh, um, there were times I want to say some good things because not everything's bad. Um, that's just how it is in life. Not everything is bad. Life is both good and bad, which it's taken me a long time to understand that, but I do now. I have for a little while. It was something that I understood. I want to say within the past like year, 2 years, um, through my journey of healing and growing, my spiritual journey, um, which I'm not Christian. I don't follow a religion, but I do follow a belief, one that not only I have learned from others, but also one that I've learned from myself. Um, I'm proud of who I am now. Um, I just had to say that because I don't say it enough. I really don't. Um, I have a hard time saying it. Uh, I will get to what I was saying. Good things about my mother and our relationship as well in a moment. But I do want to say that I am proud of myself because I don't say it enough. And I felt the urge to. My ancestors were like, "Fucking say it." They've been saying it for a long time. Say you're proud of yourself. Realize, be proud of yourself. Realize everything that you've gone through, and maybe that's partly what this is. So I suppose I don't suppose I know that this is also partly for myself. Well, this is a lot for myself as well, because like I said, I was inspired by that movie, Temple Grandin. Uh, and I was sick of the cycle of saying I'm gonna do something and not doing it, and yeah. Um. Anyways, the meme I was quoting of the water's so good, and tasty, or whatever she said, um, reminded me when I did the when I did that, that was something that I did a lot as a kid with my mom. She taught me how to do it because we watched The Grudge. I loved Scary Movie as a kid. I think it's Scary Movie 2, Scary Movie 3. It's 3. I think it's 3 cuz the first one is the haunted is Scream. The first one is Scream, the second one is Ghost, the ghost one, the haunted house, and then the third one is Aliens and a parody of those various movies. Um and I loved the first 3 a lot. I would watch those movies all the fucking time. And in one of them, they reference the Grudge or Ring. The Harajuku Mitsubishi. What? Harajuku Mitsubishi. Uh, I don't think he says wasabi before he wasabi or whatever. Sashimi. That's what he says before he leaves. Um, so fucking racist, but it's a funny joke. Um, it's a racist joke, but it's one of those jokes that I think is is one of the sometimes you can joke about racism and or make a racist joke that isn't necessarily malicious. But I'm not Asian, so I can't say that it isn't, you know, a malicious racist joke. And also the time it was made um, is speaks to the racism because uh, during that time that kind of racism was accepted and like by the public generally overlooked. So uh, it may also just be my nostalgia as well. Uh, so if I'm wrong for saying that it's a funny okay joke while also being able to recognize the racism, um, fuck, call me out, let me know, and I'll act accordingly. Um, but um, I'm sorry, I'm analyzing that right now. Um, trying to see how it's okay. I think it's okay because it's not malicious, like I said, but it could be. It could be malicious, especially during the time. A lot, even the jokes that like I feel like even if that joke was made now, it would still be like generally like it's not a. But I mean, we still live in a racist time, so racism is still very much alive. Um, and again, I'm not Asian, so I can't say uh, if it is or isn't okay. However, I do know it has recently blown up on TikTok, become a meme again uh, within the past like year. And that's not to again say that like it's okay. Um, but nevertheless, I do think it's a funny joke. Um, yeah. Uh, and um, my mother taught me how to make the grudge sound because I liked Scream, and uh, I I think I don't think I watched Grudge first. I think I watched Scream first. or maybe it was the other way around. I can't. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you because I was really young. And I watched Scream more than I watched Grudge, the Western version. Um, because it scared me as a kid. But also part of that abuse was my family did use. I did want to say I was going to talk about good, but I do want to say that even the fun times were also bad. Because I just realized that just now. Um, but going and shit was something that I would do a lot as a kid. I thought it was so cool because it was just cool to me. And it was also something that me and my mom used to do together. Like it was like a family thing. But I'm analyzing it right now and I'm realizing that it was also used in a lot of abuse because my sister was terrified of that sound. And my family used fear a lot to torture me and my siblings. And uh, that joke, the family joke, was used to make my sister scared. We thought it was funny to scare her with it. As an adult now, I don't think it's funny, and I regret doing that as a child. I was like 6 or 7. I was 7 or 8. Where were we living? I was 7. Yeah, I was 7 and 8 when we did that. And my sister was also afraid of Jason. So we used to and like scare her with that shit. Um, that was something that was taught to me. And it also was something that was done to me as well. Generational trauma again. My uncle and mother and their friends used to find it funny to lower me into the river. Um, which I don't know if you, listener, dear gentle reader, dear gentle listener, um, have ever seen Prince of Egypt, but it's one of my favorite movies. Again, I'm not Christian, but it's a good fucking movie. Amazing score, amazing musicians in this in the music, the score. Amazing animation. Um, dark skin, uh, melanated characters. I don't think there's any dark skin characters. Most of them are medium tone, uh, light skin. Um, which there definitely could have been more dark skinned characters. I wish there was. Actually, I think Ramses is the darkest character, which speaks to racism. However, um, amazing fucking movie, regardless. Um, of course, there's flaws in it, but again, good and bad, life is, all things are. I'm sure anything, nothing is perfect. Um, except the world's perfect circle or some shit. But um, I loved The Prince of Egypt. I still do. Again, um, and there's a part in the beginning where Moses is put in the river. The very beginning. Um, My son, I have nothing I can give but this chance that you may live. I pray we'll meet again until the end deliver us. Or whatever she said. Uh, but they used to lower me into the river. My uncle would mostly take me in his hands and on his back and lower me. Like they would sit on the couch and like just lower me towards the floor. And they would use it as a form of punishment sometimes, and at the same time a form of entertainment for themselves. They would be like, "Do you want to be lowered into the river?" and we're gonna lower you into the river, and they would do it, and I would full blown have a panic attack, anxiety attack. I would scream, cry, kick, try to run away. It was terrifying for me. And I know it was terrifying for me because I remember it. I have at least one distinct memory of it happening. Um, and Again, generational trauma, like I said, he used to do the same shit to my mother. Uh, him and her other brother tried to force her to eat a cup of shit. Literal human feces. Uh, so, again, generational trauma. Uh, but something good. We used to play games together. We had a lot of fun times playing video games together. I used to sit next to her. I had a little red chair that came from a kitchen set, a table set made for kids, like a little tight table set. Um, and I would sit in that chair next to her on her computer while she would be on her computer all day writing. She likes to write. I also get that from her. Um, it's probably why I'm so good at writing. Um, so I thank her for that. I used to sit in that chair with her next to me at her computer, just typing and writing. Even when she wasn't typing and writing, she would be playing video games that I would ask to watch her. I would like to watch her play video games. Um, Won't like to watch her write, and I would read what she was writing. I would help her write. I would edit for her. I would help her spell check. I would help her. She would ask me like, "Does this sound good to you?" And I would be like, "Yeah, that sounds good." Um, I read a lot as a child, so she could ask me those questions, and I wouldn't always be correct, but a lot of the time she would ask me like, "How do you spell this?" And I'd tell her, "This is how you spell it," and I would be correct, and I would help her, and whew, it was genuinely a really fucking nice time. Like I loved that so much. Um, I felt so close to her doing that, and I'm sure she felt close to me doing it as well. Even though uh, I, I'm trying not to make, I'm trying to just have something positive to say, but even while I think about it, I can still think about the abuse and the trauma that comes from those good times. Um, or at least those good times, like not always being great. Um, but there were times where like it was perfect. It was fine. It was just us bonding. Um, but there was also times where like I was like a nuisance to her for it. Like she didn't. I remember her saying like you don't. She would say no and like tell me I couldn't. Uh, Rightfully so at some times because she put a lot of sex in her novels and her books. So if she was writing a sex part, rightfully so, tell me no. And if I keep asking and she wants to write this sex part, obviously, getting annoyed is within reason, because repeatedly being having to say no can be annoying. So I understand that. But there would be times where like she would just be like, I don't want you sitting here with me. Like I don't want you around me right now. Um, or she would, because like there were times where like she would be writing and then she would get to a sex part and she would tell me I have to leave. Um, and like I understood. She was like, I'm getting to a part that I'm writing, which I guess makes me question right now if she was writing sex parts and would tell me no right then and there, and like that was why she was telling me no, or if it was just because she didn't want me around her. Because there were, like I said, times where she would be like, I don't want you around me. I don't want you near me right now. I don't want to be around you. Um, because she would be upfront and be like, I'm getting to a part that you can't be around. You can't read. It's an adult part. This part is only for adults, for grown-ups. She would tell me that. Um, and on those parts, she would have like my aunt read, or my grandmother um, check for her and shit. Um, so like she was honest about that. So why, at the times when she would say, I don't want you around me, wouldn't she be honest? Which leads me to believe that she just genuinely didn't want me around her, which hurts then and hurts now. Um, Hurts significantly less than it did in the past, but regardless, it's still a sad thing. Um, right now in my life, I choose to believe that, I don't know, actually. I don't know what I choose to believe right now, actually. Um, because it is well within her character to just not want me around her. For me to be a nuisance around her, because that's not the first and only time that she had said that. She said it like I said, we used to video games. We used to play video games together. We played Halo together literally almost every single day for a while during my life. Which also, more crazy lore. That's how she groomed my stepdad, was with Halo. How she met him was through Halo, and how she continued to groom him. Um, he was a child bride. Technically not, because he was legal. She waited until he was legal, but he was legal. Like when I say legal, he was 18, 19. When they started dating, he was 19, and she was 20. Hold on, let me do math. She's 8 years older than him, so when he was 19, she was 27, 26. Oh, yeah, she was 27. I had to double check my math. I didn't want to be incorrect. Um, which is my current age. I could not fathom dating a 19-year-old. I can't fathom dating somebody younger than 25, and even 25 is not preferable to me. It's the farthest I will go with dating somebody is 25. And that's only if it's like true love. Like, I love you. You my man, my man, my man. You love me. And honestly, no. Honestly, 25 is even a no. Now that I think about it. Like, if I'm being truly honest. I say that because my range is 2 years. You can be 2 years younger than me. Older, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does, like, preferably, like, older. I want to say, like, 5 to 10 years is my older, because I'm at that age where, like, 5 to 10 years is, like, not crazy, to me at least. But the older person, the kind of person I would want to date, they would be at least be hesitant to be like, you're 10 years younger than me. I don't know. For my kind of man. But I couldn't fathom. I couldn't fathom dating a 19-year-old. I couldn't fathom being attracted to a 19-year-old. That's a child to me. That's like that's a child. Um, but we used to play Halo together like all the time. Um, and then actually, why? she stopped playing Halo with me like that for real. Um, because when I say all the time, I mean like daily, like 9, like 8, 9. We would play every single day. Halo Reach. Halo 3 is when we started. Where when I started playing with them, my mother and my. Sorry, that was my. I don't know if you could hear that. I don't think you could. Maybe it played through my headphones. Honestly, my headphones are loud as shit. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Halo 3 was my first online FPS shooter. My first online game at all. And I wanted to play. I would mostly only be able, at first it started off I would only be able to play Halo like I was watching, and then I would only be able to play like if my mom wanted to take a break, or like she would hand me the controller and I would play on her account. And then she didn't want me to fuck up her KD because I was a kid, so uh she made me my own account, but I wasn't able to use it like by myself. Like I wasn't able to play Xbox by myself. 9 years old, I remember begging, and then like 9 years old, she was like, "Okay, you can have your own Xbox account." And she gave me like the whole talk of like, "You can't be weird on here." Um, which the talk should have been, "Don't talk to adults. No adding adults." I don't know how good parental controls were in the early days of Xbox 360. Don't ask me. Because I was not a parent at the time, but I do believe there were parental controls of some kind. They were not enforced and put on my account, which they should have been, because unfortunately I was not only predated on, but also um, I don't believe kids can be fast. I don't believe kids can be that kind of stuff. I believe children are children, and that it is the adult who is being disgusting. But I did like not flirt, but I did like want a boyfriend. I was a kid, I was at that age where like I was in love with Sasuke. I was in love with Shadow the Hedgehog. Sasuke Uchiha was my man at that point. So was Shishomaru and Inuyasha. Shadow the Hedgehog. Those were those were my niggas. Like those were my men. My man, he loved me. I had a harem in my head. Hello, maladaptive daydreamer. I had a harem in my head, um, and they were a part of it. And I wanted a boyfriend at that age, which is normal for kids. That's the normal age where kids should start, not should, but the normal age where kids do start crushing on people and exploring the feelings of romantic and physical attraction. That is when hormones in the body of children start around that age. That was where it started with me. I started puberty at like 9 years old, 8, 9 years old. And kids start, those hormones start like growing and developing in children around that time. And that's why kids start getting curious about those things. 9 to 12 is the typical puberty stage for kids, where it starts. I was on the earlier spectrum. So I did at that age start like wanting a boyfriend. But again, I was a victim. I was not a perpetuator, but I was seen as a perpetuator. If there were people on the internet being weird towards me, because on the computer, which again, the computer that like she would write stuff and I would watch her and stuff. I had gotten caught a couple times being in like, I used to play like MVU and shit. That was, as a lot of people know who also experienced the same thing. I know there are people who experience the same thing because I've seen them on the internet talk about it, and I've talked about it with people on the internet about it. Um, IMVU was a hotspot for predators. So was Kick and shit like that. I had a Kick. I had a IMVU. I was predated on a lot as a kid because I was a people pleaser and I was searching for the love and affection that I was not getting at home. Um, so I was more susceptible to it. Um, I was an easy child to be predated on. Yes, I believe that's the proper term. Um, so I got the whole talk of like, don't be weird on here. It should have been, don't talk to adults. You cannot add other adults on this game, in my opinion. Uh, only add other children. And in order to add other kids, like I have to okay your friendships, which I think at first she did say, I have to okay your friendships, but eventually she stopped doing that. She stopped caring to do that. And I just started adding people. Um, uh, but around 9 is when I got my Xbox account. Um, and sorry, I'm adjusting, sitting neurodivergently in my chair. Uh, we played Halo together a lot. Um, and Halo 3 was what we started on. It was a great time. I have memories of how great it was. Like I genuinely like that was probably the best time of my childhood. I used to say it was the best time of my life. It's not anymore. Um, I have multiple best moments of my life, and that will continue throughout my life. Uh, but oh, you could hear my fidget toy. Never mind. Um, okay, you can't hear it down there. We played a lot of Halo 3 together, and then Halo Reach. Um, and then various like ones when I joined the Halo 3, it became I was a regular part of their gaming group, which was my mom, my uncle, and various online friends that we had. The ones that stuck for a while, for a few years, was my stepdad, because at the time he was like 15. He's only 7 years older than me. Uh, yeah, he's 7 years older than me. Um, and so, which means he's half my mom's age, essentially. I just told y'all. I just told y'all that. So yeah. But I was analyzing that in my own head, verbalizing my thoughts. Um, and so, um, it was a great time, but there were multiple times during that when she would tell me that she didn't want to spend time with me. Like I would ask her, like, "Can I play the game with you? Can I play Halo with you guys?" And she'd be like, "I don't want to play with you. I don't want to play with you right now." And she would get mad at me, like she would be mean. It wouldn't be a not right now, or I would like to play with just your uncle right now. I would like to just play with some adults right now. Um, because like I would have understood that. I would have understood. Like I probably would have like been like sad and like been like why like why do you want to play with just adults right now? Because I'm a curious person. I was a curious child. Um, and like I want to know things. Like sometimes, even now, like if somebody tells me something, sometimes, like a lot of the time, I will ask like, well, why? Like I want to know why. And like I know I'm not entitled to, but I would like to know. If you tell me like none of your business or whatever, depending on the situation, I might get irritated or like upset. But most of the time, I'm just like, okay, whatever, fine. If you don't want to tell me, you don't gotta tell me. Uh, like I like okay. Um, and like of course I was a kid, so like I'm sure I wouldn't have been as like I'm more emotionally regulated now. Um, so like at the time I'm sure like I wouldn't have been as understanding, but most of the time I do believe that I would have been because again she would tell me like this is adult happening right now, like adult stuff, and I would be like okay, I would walk away. Um, and like also as a kid, of course, there would be times where like I would want to stay because kids want to grow up, kids want to be adults, kids want to grow up. Um, so like yeah, I'm sure there were times where like she would be like, uh, I'm writing something adult right now, and I'd be like, well, I want to stay. And she would like have to be like, no, you gotta go. I do remember one time that I did do that. I was like, I want to stay, and she'd be like, no, you have to go. You have to leave. And like I got irritated. I was a kid. Um, but I do understand like also getting no, because kids are kids. Like I know if I had a kid, and if I was in the exact same situation with my child, um, and they were like, I want to stay. And like I was like, this is adult. Like I'm writing adult part right now. And they're like, I want to stay. I would still like. I would be like, well, no. I said I'm writing an adult part. Are you an adult yet? And then whatever they say, probably they would say no. If they said yes, then I would be like, not yet. Like you're not a kid. You're not an adult yet. You're still a kid, and I would like you to stay a kid for as long as possible because when you're an adult, you can't be a kid. You can't be a kid again. You can only be a kid right now, and I would like you to experience being a child as long as you possibly can. Um, so please go away right now, step away right now, and I'll let you know when you can come back. Um, I would recognize that my child would like to spend time with me, and also that they're a child and that they're curious about adult things. Um, and I would handle the situation with more empathy, um, which I wouldn't have if she didn't treat me the way she treated me and I didn't assess it. Um, I would have continued the generational trauma, I suppose. Um, which I just now am realizing was labor done on my part, not hers. I was about to say I'm thankful to her for what she did, which I'm not. I shouldn't be. Um, I've said it in the past. I've said I'm thankful for it in the past uh, because then I wouldn't be who I am today, which that still is true. I'm thankful for the things that I've experienced. I'm not thankful for I'm glad I experienced the things that I experienced because I would not be who I am today. I don't think they were necessarily right, but I'm glad regardless because again, I wouldn't be who I am. Um, and that specific moment is one of those things that I just noticed. I just recognized as things of that shouldn't have happened necessarily the way that they did. Um, but needed to regardless for me to be who I am, which is someone who would not do that to their kid. Um, Anyways, I was saying we bonded over video games, but at the same time, she did start pushing me away, and I stopped playing games with her. I remember I stopped playing games with her often because she told me, I don't want to play with you. Like, I remember she muted her mic on Xbox one time. I came down to her room because she was playing Halo and I wanted to join and play. And she yelled at me and was super fucking mean because I wanted to play with her and she didn't want to. She was like, "Cuz I don't want to fucking play with you. We have to share the screen because we only had one Xbox at the time. We have to share the screen and I don't want to fucking share the screen with you. And I don't want to be around you right now. Sometimes I just want to play with adults." Da, 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 and like went off on me. And like that's valid. Like that's valid. Like you're allowed as a parent, you are allowed to have your alone time. You are allowed to hang out with just adults. Especially with her, she didn't go outside. She was a homebody. She was a recluse. So like I get that. Like that's valid. But again, emotional regulation. Um, she yelled at me. She cussed me out. And I remember crying because I just wanted to spend time with her. I just wanted to hang out with her. I just wanted to play video games with my mom and my uncle. Um, fuck. I'm sorry. I haven't really sat with and assessed the perspective of me as a child in this situation and how fucking painful that shit was and how hmm, I've always been like, yeah, that's fucked up, and like it hurt, but like I never really sat down and like, I mean, I have before, not this specific thing, but I have like been like, damn, that's fucked. I've told this story before. I told it to my ex, um, and I do remember him being like, that's fucked up. What the fuck? And me being like, yeah, yeah, it isn't it? Like that's crazy. And like him and I talking about it, but like I guess like I was dissociating during that because like that trauma was still very painful for me at the time. Now it's like it's still crazy, but I don't use dissociation as a way of coping anymore. Um, so now I'm like able to realize like I was just a little kid who just wanted to hang out with his mom and his uncle like we had done before. Like I really liked that. And I think I went up to my room and I cried and did what I usually did, which was read a book, listen to music, which is a good thing for a kid to do. It's a, kids should read books and listen to music, but I would have still done that if he wouldn't have yelled at me and made me feel unwanted. And looking back, she was grooming my dad at the time. Um, she had a crush on my stepdad. Damn, I just called him like dad, like just a dad. I would have liked to see him as a dad, but it was weird because not only was he a friend at one point, but he was also somebody who I had a crush on. I had a crush on him because to me he was just a teenager who was a friend online, Xbox friend online, and so I had a crush on him for a good little while. And then I remember when she asked how we would feel if somebody moved in and like became a part of the family, and she told me who it was. And I remember like the like feeling I had in my chest of like jealousy and anger, but I told her it was okay because I wanted her to be happy and I wanted her to experience love because I had seen what my little brother's dad, he's not my stepbrother, he's my little brother, but I had seen, I mean, he's my stepbrother, but I don't want to view him as like a stepbrother. He's just my brother. That's just my little bro. I had seen what he had done to her and how that hurt her. And I just wanted her to be happy. And I also wanted to make her happy. Like I wanted to make her happy. I didn't want to upset her. I didn't want to make her mad. Um, but I remember how that made me feel when she asked. It was crazy. And as a kid, I didn't understand why my grandma was upset and like why she moved out. Cause like for my whole life, not my whole life, but for most of my life, she lived with me. She lived with us and raised us. Like she was the one who cooked and cleaned and who mostly helped with homework after a certain point. Um, she was the caretaker for real. And she moved out when stepdad moved in a little after he moved in. Um, and I didn't understand why at the time. I was like, why are you, like, I remember asking her, I was like, why are you moving out? She was like, cause I am. I was like, why? She's like, just cause I am. Just cause I would feel more comfortable if I did. And I didn't understand at the time. I wish they would have told me, cause I wish she would have told me, but it was, I'm not blaming her for that. That was it was a safe decision for everybody involved. Um, it was I understand why she made that decision, both why she moved out and why she didn't tell me why she was moving out. Because at the time I had to be like around 12, 10, yeah, 11, 12. Hold on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was about 11, 12. Um, so like I understand why she did, because I'm sure she saw that like she felt uncomfortable with it. That like he was a 19-year-old boy who moved in with her 27-year-old daughter, who they were hunching and together. Um, I think they're still together now. I don't know. Which it's like it's like when you find out that your grandparents that your grandma was a child bride, your grandfather was like 20, 25, 27, and your grandma was like 15. Your grandfather was like 27 and your grandma was 12. Like it's like that. It's like damn. Cuz for a while it was just oh I had a crush on him. And that's why I was like upset because like yeah. And then the crush went away like pretty fast. Not really fast, like it lingered. I dissociated a lot from it. I think I ran away at one point. I didn't really run away. I only left the house for a couple of hours, and I didn't really leave the house. I just went down to my friend's house and hung out with her for a little bit, and then I went back home once when it got dark. Um, Even when I did that, it was a little abusive around the situation. I guess she was trying to teach me a lesson, but like I had ran away and like she locked the door. I was like, "Why'd you lock the door?" She was like, "Cause I don't want to let strangers in my house. You always lock the door." And then like even after she locked the door and I knocked and it was locked, she made me wait outside for a little while. I was like, "So you're just gonna have me stand outside?" Like, and she was like, "I knew you were there." And I was like, "So you just let me stand outside? You knew I was outside and you just let me stand there?" She was like, "Yeah." Basically, like, you need to learn a lesson. And I was like, "What lesson did I learn? Like, you didn't teach me anything." I was like 12. And even then, I was like, what are we talking about? Like, why didn't you just open the door? Even then, I knew the shit was crazy. Um, cause like just like logically, like if I was in that situation, emotionally and logically, if my kid ran away because of like in quotes, because I didn't really run away, but if my kid was like upset and like enough to be like I'm running away and like leaving and staying out of the house for prolonged hours. First off, by like if my kid said they were gonna run away and like they left the house, because like I did put up a fight. Like they tried to pull me back in the house. Like I was outside the door, and she was like, just let him go, just let him go." So like I did put up a fight. Like I fought to leave the house, and like I'm 12 at that point, so like I'm pretty big. I wasn't big, but especially with my stepdad who's like 6'1", who was the one trying to pull me back in. But like I'm strong. Um, and so like I get it. Like just and like physically pulling me in. Like I get it. Like yeah, just let him go. Um, like don't physically fight. But I would have one not locked the door, and two I wouldn't have went back in the house. I would have watched where my kid went. I would have seen where my kid went. And then if I saw them go down to their friend's house, which was within viewing distance, then I would have been like, okay, they're at their friend's house. And I probably would have waited outside. I probably would have waited on the porch until my kid came back. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's probably what I would do. I would wait until my kid came, like on the porch, waiting for my kid to come back, and I would periodically get off the porch to make sure that they're still down there. And then if my kid went out of my sight, then I'm searching the neighborhood for them. I'm getting up and I'm walking around and I'm driving around until I find my kid and I'm like, get the fuck in the car. Like come on. Like get in the car. Come on. We got dinner. Let's go eat. You want to go out and get some food? Let's talk about this. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get the urge to cry when I think about what I would do in that situation because I don't know. I don't know. I guess I realized the lack of empathy and care. And I guess that hurts. I used to do that a lot as a kid. I used to think about what I would do in the situation. Because after we would argue, fight verbally, we never physically fought. There was a time where like she tackled me I had to be like, when I was a little kid, like 7, I used to kick the walls and like punch the walls and like take my anger out on the walls. Like I would lay in my bed and like put my feet up on the wall and like kick the wall, like throwing a tantrum. Because I know she could hear that. I would be in the other room and I would be like, I want to hear her. I want her to hear me being angry, because like she would send me to my room for timeout. So I used to kick the wall at like it would. I would, yeah. Um, that was how I threw a tantrum. And it grew a bit into me being a little older. And I was like, I think I had to be like 10. uh, when I did this, I kicked the wall and I kicked a hole in the wall because the new place we moved into, the walls weren't as sturdy as the old place that we were in, and I kicked a hole in the wall. Um, and as soon as I did it, like I remember I was like, oh no, like I instantly like reeled myself in. It was like, like I remember I was crying, kicking the wall, and then as soon as I did it, I was like, got up, and I was like, oh shit, oh my god, oh my god. Oh, and like reeling, like, oh my god, what should I do? I was like, I gotta tell her. Like, she's gonna find out eventually. It's better for me to tell her than for like my sister to tell her, or for like my grandma to come up here and find this shit. Cause she barely ever went upstairs. She barely used the stairs at all. Um, she was suffering from her own depression, and was overweight at the time. She still is, but she's healthier now. She uh, had a gastric bypass and started eating healthier. And I don't know what she's like for real now, but I know she went through efforts to make herself um, healthier, and not like healthier weight wise, which like being the weight that she was like 400, 500 pounds. That is unhealthy. If it has adverse effects on your health, and it did. It had adverse effects on her health. Um, so she did what she had to do for her to get healthier, um, which is good. I don't look down on people who have surgery to get better, or um, help them with their health journey. Use whatever tools you need that are healthy, of course, to help you. Um, Obviously, like don't chain smoke cigarettes and you know have a eating disorder. Obviously, you can't help addiction and eating disorders, but I don't endorse that. I don't. That's not something that I would be like good if they started doing it. They were like, "Oh, I'm smoking cigarettes and sticking my fingers down my throat to lose weight." I'd be like, "You shouldn't do that. That's unhealthy. Um, please try to look for healthy coping mechanisms instead, and healthy uh, ways to lose weight. Because one, that sounds like trauma. That sounds like you want to lose weight for unhealthy reasons because maybe you just have uh, adverse view of how you look being overweight, um, and at the weight that you're at, and that you maybe have some other trauma history. So please find that sounds like more like a coping mechanism with something that you are feeling right now, instead of a healthy way of uh, tackling those things. Um, but if it's like surgery or whatever, then it's like, okay, yeah, cool. You couldn't lose the weight with the on your own due to whether it's uh, hereditary medical reasons, or just you are struggling with um, the a healthier eating habits, and like you have like your own eating disorder, binging, or you have an unhealthy relationship with food due to your own trauma, or just whatever. Like food is a coping mechanism for you, so you need surgery to help. with that coping mechanism because it's hard for you to stop that coping mechanism. So you need something to help train your body to not have that coping mechanism. Then yeah, if that's what works for you, then go ahead. Um, I support you in that decision. I supported her then, and I support her now with that decision. I do think that it was a healthy decision for her, um, because it did work for her. She did lose weight, and gastric bypass doesn't always help for people because it's not a coping mechanism. It is a medical. It's like medicine. Like if you have depression, you take uh, Zyotech. You know, it's like that. Um, and I'm all for medicine that is healing. If you know Zyotech, if you have adverse symptoms from Zyotech, then you shouldn't be taking that anymore. Is Zyotech depression medicine? Zyosted? Zyotech? Zyotech? Zyotech. Oh, that's for stomach ulcers. Hold on. Zyosted? Is Zyosted for high blood pressure, or is that no? That's something else. Zyo, is it depression? Hold on. Depression medicine. The depression medications. Hold on. I know SS. Fluoxetine, Prozac, Zoloft. Zoloft is what I was thinking of. um, but um, I say that she was. I mentioned her weight because that when she tackled me, she was about 500 pounds, 400, 500 pounds, and I was like 10. I was a chubby kid, but I couldn't have been more than like one something, one. I want to say around that age, I was probably like 130, 160, between that range. Um, so she was like triple times my weight, and she tackled me because I kicked a hole in the wall. I remember coming, like kicking the hole in the wall and be like, oh my God. And, like coming up to the stairs and being like, Mom, and her being like, what? Me coming down the stairs a bit to get her attention. And then when she came over, I was like, can you get Mom? And like she came over, and I remember going back up the stairs because like I wanted to get away from her and like telling her I kicked a hole in the wall, and her being like, "You what?" And I'm like, "I kicked a hole in the wall," and her running up the stairs and like tackling me and like getting on top of me, and my grandmother being like, and like saying her name, and like yeah, and I remember like the weight of her being on me. I tried to push her off, but she was too heavy. She's like, "You're not gonna get me off of you. You're not strong enough," and like her pinning me down and like screaming at me. It was crazy. And that was like one of the times that she was physically abusive. The only other time I could think of physical abuse is when I was spanked, which I think spanking is physical abuse. Abuse. uh, physical abuse. Um, I'm a bit tired. Sorry. Um, but uh, yeah. There wasn't much empathy. D- 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 what word am I trying to think of? Despite, I'm so tired. Despite her saying she's an empath. I'm such an empath. Okay, Amberlyn Reed. I've been consuming a little bit of Amberlyn Reed content simply because, like, the current era is crazy. I stepped away for a while because I was like, this is unhealthy. Both the not lolcow, but the girl world, um, what is it? Fandom world, stratosphere, cult, whatever. Is a little like it's toxic. All fandoms, all corners of the internet have toxic people within it and have toxic sides to it. Again, duality, balance, such as life. But I had to step away because the general, both the person itself that is the center of it is toxic and abusive and a narcissist, which is why I was into it for a while because she reminds me of my mother and in turn also reminds me of myself at points, because I understand what it's like to be a person who's extremely traumatized and who exhibits unhealthy, toxic behaviors because of that trauma. Um, and so like it was like I was watching it like a both. She reminds me of my mother, and she also reminds me of myself. So both like thing to like a thing of entertainment, but also like a thing of self analysis. Um, but I had to stop doing that because I was like, one, I no longer relate to her like as a person. Like when I first started watching her, I was working through a lot of those things in real time. The like toxic behaviors, the like both personally and outside of myself, like manipulation or um, which I've come to realize I'm not as manipulative as I thought I was. A lot of what I thought I was manipulative was because she would tell me, my mother would tell me I was manipulative. She would project a lot onto me and say I was manipulative just because I was making sense when disputing her abusing me. Um, and she would be gaslighting me, and then she would turn it on to me. Um, because she gaslit me so much throughout my childhood. Um, this is just me talking about my mommy issues, but I'm trying to say that I've experienced a lot, um, to both share experiences to help people who may relate, but also to show how far I've come and what I've learned. Um, because that's what I want this to be, not in its entirety, um, but I want me sharing what I've gone through and what I know to help other people. That's how I want to help people with this is I want to share what I know. And what I know is also what I've experienced. Um, as well as what I've learned. But a lot of that learning has also been through experience. Um, to back my learning up, you know? Um, but yeah. Um, my mom was a troubled person. She is a troubled person. And she put a lot of that onto me, being the oldest, being someone who not only looks like her, well, looked. I don't really look like her too much now. Mm, no, that's not true. I've looked at her recently and been like, we still, like, yeah, I see the resemblance. Um, but who was her mini me? Who was once her comfort that became the bane of her existence, but was also the bane of her existence even at the beginning because I was to her somebody who stopped her from living. The thing that stopped her from living, that stopped her from growing, which is why she's perpetually a 15-year-old, a 14, 15-year-old. Um, hold on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, perpetual. That's the right word. I had to make sure I was using the right verbiage. I I may speak smart, but I want to make sure that my smart is actual smart, you know. So I check myself a lot, which I need to work on. Honestly, I need to work on not checking myself as much and just being myself. Which I think earlier how I brought up, um, I don't necessarily know when I stopped being myself as much. And I think it was when I started analyzing myself so much, which was when I decided to be a better person. But I lost myself in it. I lost myself in trying to be who I wanted to be instead of just being who I was, which which needed to be done. I needed to work on myself because I wasn't always who I am now. Change needs to happen. And in order for change to happen, you have to know what needs to be changed and you have to work on that. Um, and by that I mean like self change. Um, People can also change due to their circumstances as well. Situations also play a part. Environment also plays a part. Um, but also self. You also play a part in choosing who you are and changing yourself. And I realized at a young age that I was like my mother, that I was my mother's mini me, that she was grooming me to be, which she successfully, I don't want to say that, but she has done to my sister. Um, and which I've seen her recently. She is her own person as well, but she is also groomed to be who my mother groomed her to be. Um, but I think I lost myself in trying so hard to not be my mother that I forgot who I was for a moment. Um, and the past few years, like the past like 4 or 5 years, has been me refinding myself. I made it got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm who I want to be, but who am I? Like who am I within all of this? You know, like there was there was a sort of stagnancy in within the change. I I wasn't grounded. I wasn't grounded in my reality, my now. I was stuck somewhere in between the past and the future at the same time instead of being here in the now, who I am now. Let me drink some water. I think you can hear me drink a little bit. Oh my god. um but past 4 years has been me grounding myself in who I am, not who I was, not who I want to be, because that'll come. But who I am. Ooh, y'all just heard that weird noise my throat made? Throat chakra opening up. I say that as a joke, but it is. It is. Um, who I am is someone who is a bit jaded. Jade. Yeah. You got your mother's style, but you're yesterday's child to me. So jaded. Maybe not. I just looked it up. It's not the word that I thought it was. Yeah, jaded is a feeling or showing a lack of interest or excitement that is caused by having done or experienced too much of something. Worn out, dullied by surfeit, sated, cynically or pretentiously callous. Yeah, that's no longer who I am. I was at some point. I really was. Due to my trauma, I let it I let it get me to that point, which not entirely my fault, but I do recognize the part that I played in it. And so that's what these past 4 years has been. It's been me undoing that. I am someone who is honest, who is kind, who is straightforward, who is over the shit. I'm not somebody who is going to put up with something for too much. I see things as they are, and I accept them as they are, and I get to the point with that. Like, if somebody is the way that they are, then you are the way you are, and I'm going to state that if it needs to be and move on from it. Um Sounds like they're shoveling outside. Um I am I am mean. I definitely can be. I am considerate. I'm considerate. Yeah, I am. I am someone who, if even if I think you're in the wrong, or I disagree with your opinion, or we have some disagreements, I still consider how I approach that situation. I still consider how I communicate with you, and I try to be kind. I'm not always. I definitely can be an asshole. I definitely can be mean. I definitely can be blunt. I definitely can be quick to cut off someone. I definitely can be quick to cut the bullshit. But I try hard not to. I try hard to be kind and patient. I'm someone who's balanced now. Before I was either too nice too kind, not caring about myself. Um, I didn't mention it yet, but I, for the longest in my life, thought I was only existed to be of service to other people. That I only existed to be used by other people. That was that's what I should do. Is that I should, because I wanted to help people. I still do, like I said, but I know that that's not what I'm created for, to be of service to others solely. I do want to service others. I do want to help others. I do want to be there for people, help people. I even do it every day. Every day I love giving people information and resources, and not only teaching people things, but mostly I like literally was just talking to somebody, and they they literally talked about how they needed a cooling blanket, and I immediately went and not Googled, DuckDuckGo'd, immediately went and DuckDuckGo'd a cooling blanket for them, and then I was like, of course I saw a list of it. I pulled up the list and I was like, I found a list for you, but they're all Amazon linked. So give me a moment. And I looked up each individual brand's website and found to check if those websites existed. Cause fuck Amazon. I'm not gonna. I'm if I'm gonna go through the effort of looking up something for you, if I like fuck Amazon, I'm also still going to go through the effort of finding those individual websites for you so that I can still give you the information that you need without perpetuating or instilling the systems that I don't believe in. Um, which may be extra work on my part, but I don't care because I still want to help you. So I did that. I want to help people still to this day. But I don't and I won't give all of myself away. I don't and won't give all of myself away. Um, I I don't, and I'm gonna reiterate that again so that I instill it in myself. I don't and won't give away all of who I am, so that I have nothing left to give to myself. Because I also live in service of myself. I also love myself. I also take care of myself. I care for myself. I nurture myself. I didn't in the past. In the past, fuck it. I said we're gonna be raw. We'll be raw. In the past, I didn't brush my teeth. I had such bad dental hygiene that I had braces without the bracket, without the bar. It was just the brackets and the anchors. I had those in my mouth for shit. They didn't fully come out until last year. Those shits were supposed to come out when I was 18. I had them for almost 10 years. I had chances to go to the orthodontist and get them taken out, but I was neglecting myself. And there were times where I didn't have the resources to throughout those years. But I didn't. I didn't brush my teeth regularly for years, for most of my life. I didn't. Now I brush my teeth every single day, twice a day. Full routine. Brush my teeth, scrape my tongue, floss and water floss. I may forget to floss sometimes. That's such a drastic change. Such a drastic change. Literally, I didn't start doing that until 2 years ago. That routine. Until 2 years ago. I had to teach myself. Now it's a habit. Every single day, I do it. And even if I don't feel like doing it, because there are moments where I don't feel like doing it. There are moments where I'll catch myself laying in bed being like, okay, I'm ready to go to sleep. But I'm like, no. Now I have a nightly routine before I go to bed. And it's going to stay that way. I had to teach myself that. My mom didn't teach me that. Because my mom herself neglected herself as well. She didn't shower. She didn't bathe. I didn't shower daily for years, for most of my life. Now I do, every single day. I had to teach myself that. I neglected myself for a long time. I didn't love myself for a long time. But I do now. I don't neglect myself anymore. And I won't ever again. I will love myself for the rest of my life. I've had to learn that. And I have to say that because, again, I didn't. I didn't say that. And even to this day, I have to consciously, at times, be like, tell yourself you love yourself. I have to verbally say it sometimes because it's something that I had to teach myself. I wasn't taught how to love. I was only taught how to hate and be angry, taught to fear. And that's what a lot of us are taught. That's what most of us are taught. To be angry, to hate, to be fearful. And I want to help people unlearn that. I want to help people love themselves and love each other, love their community, love themselves. And 4 years ago, when the in-depth journey, healing journey, spiritual journey started, was I realized I had to love myself. I realized I didn't love myself. And I realized I couldn't do that if I really wanted to help other people. I wonder if the guy outside shoveling is listening to me. um, Sorry, I was checking my messages. I'm gonna upload this unedited. I don't know how many people are gonna listen. I hope some do. Um, I guess I should upload it to YouTube. I think that's the only place I can upload this long of a video. Um, I don't know. Um, I am happy. I've got a lot going on in my life. Right now, currently in this moment, I am facing eviction. I haven't been to work in 6 months because of medical reasons. I have a job, I just haven't been to it. Disability checks are not coming in anymore. They've dried up, they're gone. In fact, the last one I used bounced. Last one I used bounced, so my bank account is negative $400. My other bank account is like negative 40, 50. I have no money. I've been eating the same food for the past week, which is a old hot pot seasoning packet that I got. Hold on. She's starting to growl at the people outside, shoveling because they started talking. Um, don't do that. I don't want to have to send you to timeout. I really don't. Um, because I already done told you to stop, Binks. I don't want to have to send you to timeout. Stop. Um, but what was I saying? I'm gonna upload this soon. Um, go, go, go on, go, go. Thank you. Um, because I'm about to have her start barking. Her training was getting better, but then she had like a fucking moment like 2 days ago where she was. I had to fucking grab her leash because she chased up to a dog, ran up to a dog, not in an aggressive way. She came back like as soon as I grabbed her leash, but she's a reactive dog. She's a quarantine puppy, so it's been a long journey to untrain her non socializing. Um, she's an anxious dog too. She's got really bad anxiety. But if I pet her and like use a soft voice for her, it she takes it as like comforting and like which is good. She should be comforting, but she also takes it as like positive reinforcement. I've noticed like because I used to, but it just makes it worse. She like barks louder and she like gets angry and like will like react that way more often. So instead, it's just time out, go lay down, go to your cage, go chill in there and feel comfortable in there because that's your safe space. So go to your safe space. Um, but also, this is me telling you that you shouldn't be doing that. You don't bark, you don't growl, you don't do those things. Um, unless, like, you know, I say it's okay. Like, when I tell you to stop, you stop. Um, so right now she's in her kennel chilling. Um, she'll come out as soon as she stops. But what I was saying was, I am somebody is who has gone through a lot, who has experienced a lot, who wants to help others, and who has gone on a long, arduous healing journey, who is still going on that healing journey, and who will be for the rest of their life. I believe a healing journey is lifelong. Um, and I believe everybody has their own healing journey, their own journey in general, their own journey of healing from things that they've experienced that are not great. Because again, life is about duality. So some people experience things worse than others, but everybody experiences something that is not good. I was saying, I was explaining my current situation in this moment as I'm recording. Hopefully, it's not my situation. It's not going to be my situation for long. Um, but I'm experiencing those things. Um, Bank account is negative right now, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I know what I'm going to do. I have plans. I always have plans. I always plan things out. I always have some way of planning something to survive and come out and do better than what I'm currently going through. Things always turn out good for me, and yeah, and that's not me like tooting my own horn or being self-aggrandizing. That's both me saying that, manifesting that, stating that as my reality, but also that is my reality. Like that is true. That's just how it is for me. Um, Divinely blessed, divinely favored, uh, highly protected. Life is about duality again, so of course things aren't always going to be on the up and up, but such is the way of ebb and flow. Um, Currently, right now, I have to plan things out. Um, I That's not what I was saying. I always plan things out. You learn to through survival. You learn to. Not everybody does, but a lot of people do. I know I'm not the only one. You learn to come up with a plan of how to handle things, of how to work your way through things instead of just accepting it and lying down, which some people do. Just accept and lie down and stay in their situation, stay in their cycles, stay. And this isn't me like, um, what's the word I'm looking for? This isn't me like shaming people who are in a bad situation because, again, life is about duality. Everybody's going to experience a bad situation at some point in their lives. And this isn't about me, and this isn't me saying that if you are in that situation, it's your fault, because it's not. Unless it is, because sometimes it is. Sometimes it is your fault. Sometimes you do make bad decisions. Sometimes you do choose to do the wrong thing or choose to do the thing that is going to keep you in your situation. Sometimes you have no choice in making that choice. Sometimes that is the best choice for you. Sometimes choosing to do that is the safest and best situation for you in that moment. Sometimes you have no choice at all. Sometimes it just is what it is. And sometimes you do have a choice. And sometimes it's all of those things at once. Sometimes it's a few of those things at once. Right now, for me, it's I have plans and choices that I can make both now and in the future. And now I'm making the choices that I'm making. And however those choices unfold, I have plans in place of how I'm going to handle how those choices unfold. Like the world is infinite possibilities. And even if I only think of three of those possibilities that are likely, the three likeliest possibilities, I'm going to have a plan for each one of those three possibilities. And then if something that doesn't, there a fourth possibility happens, then I'll face that when the time comes. And in that moment, I'll come up with a plan, you know? So, I say that to say that nobody's perfect. You gotta work at I don't know the words. Um, uh, yeah, I think this is damn near 3 hours long. I think I'm gonna stop it there. Maybe break this up into two parts or the whole thing. I know some people like long form videos. I often watch. The video, the Bluey video I brought up earlier. That video was damn near 2 hours. I watched the whole thing, not all in one sitting, but I watched the whole thing. And I like videos that are long form, so I know there are people out there who will like it as well. And then also, you don't have to watch this all in one sitting. You may come back. You may watch it in 15 minutes. Come back later. You may, while you're cooking for 30 minutes, watch some, and then while you're eating, listen to some. Watch something else, maybe. Come back later. I know whatever part you hear, it's a part that you need to hear, a part that will help you out because there's no such thing as coincidences. Everything happens for a reason. And whatever you need to hear is whatever you need to hear in that moment. So I hope it does some good, does some help. And I'll see you in the next one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and rate 5 stars, favorite the video. Um, yeah, bye. Nobody's perfect. You gotta work it. Whoa. Okay, before I ended it, I was looking up the lyrics to Nobody's Perfect. I look up fucking Nobody's Perfect. Tell me why I scroll down because I'm like, yeah, this is the song. I see. Now a nigga only texts and gets stressed. Huh? It's not Hannah Montana. Girl, that's J. Cole. um, anyways, nobody's perfect. I gotta work it again and again till I get it right. Nobody's perfect. You live and you learn it. And if I mess it up sometimes, and nobody's perfect, I don't. Bye.